So starting off, no matter what month you are in, if you are starting this in July or in November, it doesn't matter what month you're starting in, I need you to start in January because all of your months are going to pull information from this January page for your debt. So the first thing you're going to do is go to your January page. Here you can see we're in January, and go down to your debt in the bottom right hand corner. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to this title section. Now you can keep the debt 1, debt 2, debt 3, but I suggest that you change it to whatever your debts are. If it's student loans, if you want to change it to the account name of the student loan or a home mortgage, you're going to change it to that. So I'm going to put in some examples so you can kind of see how all of this works together. Okay, so you see we have home mortgage, car payment, and student loan. And then we have debt 4, debt 5, debt 6. And if you don't have any debts there, you'll just erase it. Just get rid of it. Just go over it and click delete. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to go over to these blue columns. These are the only ones you're going to touch. You're going to touch the payment due column and the percent interest. So I'm going to put in some averages there so you can kind of see what it looks like. The payment due is going to be the minimum payment that you are required to make on whatever loan it is. And you can find that out from whoever holds the loan, and they'll let you know what that's supposed to be. So here I put some averages. You have $1,029 for your home mortgage. You have your car payment is $360 and your student loan is $393. Those are the minimum payments you make every month. If you go to the interest, you're also going to get this from whoever holds your loan. So I'll just go ahead and put in some averages here. Okay, so I have 3%, 6%, and 6%. Now if I click the 3% here and you look up here in the left-hand corner, it says 3.16%. It will average this out or round it up or down to the closest number just to keep it simple for you, but it does all of the formula work with that actual number that you put into there. Okay, so you've done your title, you've done your payment due, and you've done your interest. And after you've done that, you can go to the current month that you're in. And so, for example, we'll do July. So click through to July, and the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go to that debt column, and you're going to put in your beginning total. Whatever the beginning total is for this month, you're going to put it in right there. So I'm going to put in some averages really quick. So you can see here we have the $215,000 for your home mortgage, the $10,000, we'll assume you just bought a used car, and the $23,967 for your student loan. And then what's going to happen is you have this interest amount that shows up over here. This interest amount is how much money of what you're paying every month is going to interest and not going to your actual debt. So that's just money that's getting thrown away. So you can see here you have the 566, the 50, and the 119, and it all adds up to this 736 down here. And so this 736, that's how much money you are paying in interest that month, and it's not going towards your actual debt. This is why we try to stay out of debt so that you're not paying $736 every month to nothing. Then you go to this minimum principal. This minimum principal is your payment due minus your interest amount. So this is how much money is actually going towards paying off your debt. Then you have your total principal paid, and that shows what you have paid. So right now you have it in parentheses, and that's a negative number. It's just showing you that you haven't paid anything yet that month. And when we do pay off those loans, it'll show you how much you paid and how much of what you paid went to your debts. And so if you pay over what the minimum payment is, it'll show you how much more you paid towards your principal than you would have if you only paid the minimum principal balance. And then this last one is your ending balance, and that just tells you at the end of the month what you have left to pay on those loans. And this will be pulled from here and become your beginning total in your next month. So if you don't pay anything, you'll see that number goes up the next month because you've accrued interest and you still have to pay more on your loan. Okay, from now on, this total payment column right here that's highlighted in pink, This is the only one that you touch every month. You should never touch another column except this one. That is the actual payment you're making for that month. Okay, so before we go into that and we put in our payments, we're going to go up to this budget column here. You have your monthly budget there at the top. And I'm just going to go ahead and put in $5,000. We're going to assume that's what you make in a month. You're going to put in $5,000. And then down here, you're going to budget out everything that you want. So I know that I want to spend 10% of my budget on tithing. And so that's my charitable gifts. 10% would be $500. And if I put it in there, it'll show that 10% of my budget, that $500, is going to charitable gifts. Now, you want to keep careful note of this percent of budget column because it can actually tell you if you're doing well in how you're budgeting or if you're not. Over here, you can see the minimum recommended and maximum recommended, and those are Dave Ramsey's suggestions for where your budget should be. And so he suggests 10 to 15% for charitable gifts. So that's a good marker to let you know if you're spending well in whatever category. So I'm just going to go through and finish out part of this budget. So once I hit this point, I skip personal and recreation. And I do this because I know that I have to pay off a certain amount in debt, and I know that I want to save a certain amount. So I'll jump down to my debt. I know that the debt I have left after my home mortgage goes to my housing and my car payment goes to my transportation, the student loan is left. So I'm going to put in there that $393 that I plan to spend on my debt. And then I'm also going to put $500 because I know I want to save up for an emergency fund. And that's when I go back to personal and recreation. Now down here you see this total, it's $4,482. And we want to get that up to $5,000. So we know that we have approximately $518 left in our budget. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to personal and we're just going to plug in $300 there and go to recreation and plug in $218. You can budget however you want, but this percent of budget is going to show you kind of how you're measuring up to the minimum recommended and the maximum recommended columns for Dave Ramsey's suggestions. Okay, we are going to look at this spent and budget balance in a second, but first we have a few more things to do. We're going to go up to this net income in the top right-hand corner. This is after you've budgeted. And we're going to fill it out with the actual income that we get over the course of the month. So in week 1, when you get paid, you'll put in what you got paid that week. And so we're going to assume that you're getting paid salary, and so you know exactly what you're going to make every week. So let me plug that in for you really quick. Okay, so you'll notice the moment we added an income, these columns here, the percent of net income spent and the within recommended, they changed color. There's a reason for that, and I'll show you by adding in some expenses. So go over here to the top left-hand corner, and this is your expenses tracker. This is where you're going to spend most of your time during the month. I'm going to put in a few fake expenses to show you how this works. I'm just going to walk you through it really quick. So 1st of July, you have 2 payments. You paid for your mortgage and you paid off your student loan. Okay, so here you have this drop-down menu, and you can choose whichever one that payment is going in. And everything has to have a category. So for this one, it was housing. You have debt. On the 3rd of July, you paid $800 for fireworks. Okay, and that goes into recreation. This 3rd of July, you also paid $13 for your son's 4th of July outfit. Okay, and then the 5th, you lost a pair of shoes, so you had to go buy a new pair of shoes, $45 also to clothing, okay, for your shoes. So what we do with this is now you'll notice over in the spent column that they show up over here. Your housing payment shows up right there as that $1,029. The clothing adds up, so the $13 and the $45 added up to $58 in that column. And then you have your $800 for fireworks and your $393 for your student loan, and that is part of your debt paid off. Okay, and then if you look at the budget balance column, it shows you here in housing that you spent everything that you had budgeted to spend that month. In the clothing, it shows you have $42 left, And in recreation, it shows you that you paid over your budget by $582. So this can give you an idea of where you're at, how much money you've left. If something like this happens part of the way through a month, you can always try to rearrange your budget to make up for where you overspent and pull money out of other sections. So you could pull from your personal or from food, wherever you have any extra money that you don't need to spend that month. But the ideal is to stick to the budget. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to look over here at the yellow, the red, and the green and what it means. So the yellow means that you have spent under Dave Ramsey's recommended percentages for what you should spend in your budget. So for this housing here, you spent 20.6%, which for you was exactly what you wanted to budget, but it's under what you probably should be paying for your housing. And you could make up for this by having housing insurance and including that in your housing payment, or you could pay more every month towards that debt to get rid of the debt faster, because you should be spending at least 25% of what you're making on that housing bill or on that housing category. So then we come down here to the recreation. It's red, and it means that you've gone over what is expected or the recommended limits. Recreation, over here you can see that you paid that $800, you spent that $800, and that's 16% of your income for that month. And so that's over the 10% expected or suggested limit that Dave Ramsey gives you. And then here you have your 7.9% for that $393, and that is within what you should be paying towards your debt, within the 5 to 10%. And so this just gives you an idea. If you go over, if you have a habit of going over in a certain area, like say spending money on going out for food or spending money on recreational things, going to the movies too often, it'll kind of give you an idea of where you need to cut back on your spending or where you need to spend more. For example, you should probably be spending more for your housing to try to get that debt paid off. After that, you come down here to your total payment. After you've had all of your expenses for the month, you're going to fill in the expenses that you paid off. So we know, due to the housing thing that you have up here, your housing payment, that you paid that $1,029. So you're going to put the $1,029 in here. We didn't pay your car payment yet, but we did pay for the student loan, so that's the $393. And you'll notice that it changes your balances over here to show that you've paid off some debt, and although you've also accrued some interest, it's paid off some of the interest and some of the principal. And we do that so that when you go to August, it can pull that ending balance into your beginning total and show you where you were at for that month. You don't have to keep updating it. Okay, so now that we're in August, I'm just going to give you a quick review of what you do every month. The first thing you do, budget. Put in this monthly budget, fill in everything that you want to budget for the month, and then what you're going to do after that is track your income. And you're going to kind of do these two things together. You're going to track your income as it comes in, and you're going to track your expenses as they go out. Near the end of the month, or when you pay these, you can put in your total payments for each of these debts, and that will help to keep all of your debts in order from month to month. I hope you guys find this valuable. I hope it was simple enough to get a walkthrough of. And if you're looking for more useful information or resources for free, you can go to alinadompt.com/tools.